Don't Dash, it's your boy Ash. Welcome to the finale of our Halloween series of 2024, and I think this is a perfect video to end it. We did behind the scene on how the whole day went. We did the recapping, which was really cool. But I think the final video, there's only one way to truly. Ah, shit. I should have taken notes. It's okay. We'll do it. We'll take care of it. No problem. Um, I think the perfect way to end it is to talk about Pokemon. Because yes, this is a costume about Pokemon, but there's a real universe of Pokemon, and it is the perfect. Because again, very short story, but you can see why I should have taken some notes. You should have. You gotta understand. You see, my first costume wasn't that. Like, yo, Ash costume was gonna be so cool. First costume in Pokemon was in my life for so fucking long. Y'all don't even understand, dude. It was. I'm gonna talk about this in this video, but transferring into a okay, well, this is less of a costume. This is about Pokemon itself. I think it's perfect. I think it's so freaking nice. So, what does Pokemon means for me? Well, a lot. But if you take a person like Mythical V, it is a Mewy male version. If you take a person like IXICU4CUX, it's a Magikarp. If you take somebody like Anthony Deflex, it is a Gengar, right? If you take somebody like Talia, it is a Charmander. If you take somebody like Holly or RG Baby, it is a Jigglypuff. If I take somebody like Doffy, it's a French name. It's a Charizard. If I take a person like Vince, it is an Infernape. If I take a person like April Run, it is a Pikachu. If I take a person like Ing Vendetta, it is a Totodile. If I take a person like I'm missing one and I'm trying to gain some time to remember it, but I can't. That's why I should have taken some notes. Aiden with a Sceptile. That's what it means to a lot of people. And this is the people I asked. This is the people I asked. Pokemon, if you were born in the 90s, was just great. See, I was lucky, very lucky, to have a game you could bring at school. For example, Pokemon. I remember going to a day camp, a summer camp, technically. And I remember bringing my Game Boy and hearing everybody talk about Pokemon. They were having battle, they're trading Pokemon. That was a Game Boy Color. Pokemon meant so much to me because it was one of the first RPGs that I played. One of the first games that I really liked. See, I was extremely lucky. One of the first games that I really had was Zelda Ocarina of Time. The problem with Zelda Ocarina of Time was one of the first games that I really enjoyed. I fell in love with Ocarina of Time as soon as I played it. There is a story with Ocarina of Time that we're going to be inserting in this story. If you play Ocarina of Time, you know how the story goes. And you know the first boss is the Goma Queen. Now, what you don't know is little Inky was really afraid of the Goma Queen. Really afraid. So what little Inky would do, 5, 6 years old Inky, 7 years old, 8 years old Inky, he would do the game all the way to the Goma Queen and restarts. Now, there's a second guy called Inky. And he received Pokemon Silver. And he is hearing about Pokemon. You're not going to believe how important Pokemon was. And gaming wise, this is the first game that I remember having a real issue. But didn't care. You don't want to know how much I love the game. My first Pokemon was Totodile. I didn't speak a lick English. I didn't understand a lick of English. So I had the same party. My party was a Furret, was a Graveler, was a Noctowl. So yeah, so every single Pokemon that you can catch in the beginning. So I didn't understand English. What I used to do, I would go all the way till the Special Tree and the Iridian Forest. Still remember the name. In between the Ilex City and Goldenrod City. Needed to cut that tree, and I didn't know that, so I was stuck there. I had Totodile. Battling level 6 Pokemon. I got a Feraligatr. Yeah. How much time I put in? Pokemon had such a high impact on me. because at the daycare, the actual daycare that I was going, I was possibly 4 or 5 years old. We were watching the first season of Pokemon of Ash, which was the Indigo League, which was insanely good. Then one of the first movies that I remember watching, really watching in theaters with my dad. And again, my parents were separated. I was very young. I was 6 years old. The first movie that I remember watching with my dad, Star Wars 1, Phantom Menace. One of the first movies that I remember watching with my mom was Pokemon Mew. I had a VHS. And I remember watching Lugia. Legend of Lugia. I remember watching The Legend of Entei. I remember that. And I have to say that those memories were good. I remember going to the movie theater and them giving out a Mew. And I still have it. It was just so special. I remember playing on my Game Boy Color Silver. And how cool it was. And it was so cool because it was one of the first RPG that I really enjoyed. Then I remember playing the Ruby, Emerald, Sapphire, which were really good but didn't feel the same. See, it's weird. It's really weird. As an adult, as a kid, I really enjoyed Silver because that was the only game that I had. Then I really enjoyed Emerald and Sapphire. But I really enjoyed it, but I played it 2 times. One of the games that I really enjoyed was Fire Red. Fire Red, I played a shit ton of it. But as a young adult, I fell in love back with Silver. Now, what I'm not telling you was I had a emulator. And the emulator, and I'm talking about this for in between the age of 15 and 24 for the emulator. And I would always play Silver. I would play it every year because it was my first Pokemon game. But it was, to me, it was just perfect. It was amazing graphic, amazing cast of Pokemon, 250 to be exact. It was day and night. Day and night was 8 city plus Kanto. So when you finish the first 8 badge, you had the 8 badges from the Pokemon Red and Blue, which was insane to me. It was such an important game in my life. And what really became important is I told you a story, and I wasn't planning on it, but I told you a story about how my parents were telling me you need to work, and I was just like, hey, I have this job already. 20 hours, that's all I need to survive. I don't need more. And I told you how much I enjoyed listening to the radio and playing emulator. Now, what am I not telling you is I had 2 emulator, an emulator for the Game Boy Color and an emulator for the Game Boy Advance. There's a phone that I had that was really good. It was a Sony Xperia, and I could play PSP games on it. But then that game, I made a mistake, and I was so addicted to gaming that the charging completely destroyed. Completely destroyed. And on that phone, I played game like Persona 3. It was phenomenal. Phenomenal, I'm telling you. Imagine listening to the radio, play Persona 3 the whole day. Oh, it was great. It was great. And then the battery broke. And the next phone that I had, I don't understand why, wasn't able to play PSP games. So I'm back with Game Boy Advance. But now, I had a quality of game. So I was like, this phone is gonna last me 2 years. I'm gonna buy a new phone that might be able to play these games. I want to play quality games. That's when I learned about the ROM hacks. Oh, I could be playing a new Pokemon game every single week. On those emulators, you could put the game speed at 8 times the speed. So if a game would take 72 hours to beat, to me it would take 10 hours to beat. Now, is it safe to say I didn't have a PS3? I didn't have any consoles? Is it safe to say that I played for more than 10 hours per day? It is very safe to say. So I would almost beat a Pokemon game a day. Yeah. So Pokemon was super important. And is that because The Pokemon universe for me, if anything, it's one of the best marketing thing. Um, if you're not a gamer, then you possibly like the show. If you didn't like the show, you possibly like the card. There was something for you. But the reality of Pokemon and the greatest thing that they did, the greatest thing that they did, isn't Scarlet and Violet, okay? Isn't Sword Moon. It isn't Sun and Moon. It isn't Y and X. It isn't yeah. Did you get the point, right? The best thing they did was Pokemon Go. I remember how crazy it went when Pokemon Go was a thing. I remember how insane people went. I swear to God, you're not gonna believe this, but I swear on my freaking life. At that time, I was going out with friends. A lot of bar time. I was 21, 22. And I remember the police going into a park. A park when you saw me going to work, I used to pass by a park, that park. And the police, I had to go and say, hey, go back to your home, this is the curfew. Because people were out there playing Pokemon Go. I remember everybody playing Pokemon Go and how big it was. And events say, oh, if we're there, there's Pokemon. And it was amazing. And to a certain degree, you're asking yourself, just how big was Pokemon? Huge, humongous. And then you have to realize something. Nowadays, we have tournaments of League of Legends, we have tournaments of Call of Duty Mobile, we have a lot of tournaments. But one of those first tournaments was Pokemon, right? One of the first tournaments was Pokemon the gaming. One of the first was the trading card game. This and Yu-Gi-Oh was really good. And see, it's amazing. And I finally remembered the last one I forgot. I thought I was forgetting one in the beginning. Sir wins a lot with Sear, Fetch, or Farfetch. Yeah, absolutely. I remember you, bro. I think I don't remember, but I remember. Um, see, Pokemon was huge. And lately there was a death in Pokemon. Death of a career. The the Ash won the tournament, became a Pokemon Master. That was the story of his daughter. Although it's cool, not the same. And it might never be the same. Pokemon might never be what we know Pokemon as. Does it matter though? Because I just told you how I was in daycare watching Pokemon Indigo League. I just told you how in high school, this is a funny story too. In high school, somebody, as a joke, brought back Pokemon. And the way they brought back was so amazing. Because we're all the same age. The way they brought back the Game Boy Color. They, oh my god, and they were making a joke about nerds. Then it really took off. A lot of people would bring the Game Boy Color and play Pokemon. It was cool. It was really cool. It was really cool. See, there's something I have to admit. I don't know why Pokemon was the shit. My father, I talk about my father a lot, but my father didn't want me to play video games. Like, oh no, you need to experience the outside world. But she was right. My father wouldn't check. My father, that's the funniest thing. I had a Nintendo 64 from the age of 4 with Mario Kart and Super Mario 64 to the age of, I want to say 18, where he finally bought me a PS3. And the PS3 was an excuse. The PS3 was an excuse to, if I was misbehaving, confiscate it. So he had me a PS3, and I wasn't in love with it. I wasn't allowed gaming on the weekdays. My mom, she was a bit more spoiler, and she would buy me everything I want. She would buy me PS2, but PS2 I couldn't bring it to my dad's house. She would buy me game for DS. And you wanna know what's insane? What's really, really insane? Because she would buy me so many games for the DS. She wouldn't check like my Game Boy Color. My Game Boy Color would go from my mom's house to my father's house. I don't know what game did I play? Pokemon Silver. Because the only console I could get with me was the the Game Boy Color. My favorite game on the Game Boy Color, Pokemon Silver, no doubt about it. I could say Pokemon Yellow, but that's the two of them. That's pretty much it. Anywho, this is why when I saw that female streamer, I had to do it. Anywho, hope you guys enjoy. I love y'all. Take it easy. Peace.